$7,200, man, give me that all day. We know where it is. I'm not wearing the Blessed Express hoodie, but we know it's there.
You're not wearing the Blessed Express hoodie? Oh my goodness.
No, you gotta think about this, man. You gotta think about this. I'm super lazy, right? So if I wear the hoodie now, I'm not gonna do laundry in time to wear it again on Saturday. So I'm going to prioritize wearing it on Saturday.
Look at that. A clean man washes hoodies every time he uses them.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. I'm your co-host, Gordo Gambles, joined today by, look who it is. I don't know what side he's on, but look who it is. We were joined with Keyroad, back for an absolutely beautiful slate of UFC 276. And I mean, Max Holloway's fight, and I know there's no way Keyroad's missing that. How are we doing, my friend?
Yeah, like you said, it's been a long time, but I'm here again. How could I miss this UFC card? An absolute banger of a card. From top to bottom, we got big names, and it should be a good one. Sometimes big names like to disappoint, and lesser known names like to be the exciting fights, but I don't think that's going to be the case this week. This is a fantastic card of fights, and we were looking forward to it. Again, been a long time off. Haven't been here on the channel in a while. It's been a busy summer. Playing my own semi-professional sport has been pretty time-consuming, but we're here again. I'm going to be watching the fights on Saturday night, and I'm excited for this card.
Let's go, man. I'm actually pumped for it. It is going to be super fun. I know you mentioned those fights being disappointing. I know that Carlo Rose fight is still looming in everyone's head, but when you got a guy like Max Holloway and a guy like Volkanovski going at it, and that's not even the main event, you know it's going to be an absolute banger of a night. Super fun card, 12 fight slate. I say we don't waste any more time. Let's get into it. And I mean, there's no other way to start off this breakdown than talking about my main event. I mean, my man, Max Holloway. Let's talk about him against Volkanovski the third time around. I'm going to let Kira break this one down so I get a little bit of the bias out of the way. I do think that Holloway should be the champ right now, so we're not going to let my conspiracy theories go crazy right now. Kira, how do you see this one going down?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I'm the least biased opinion on this matter. As a big Max Holloway fan, you do have to keep that in mind with both of our perspectives on this fight. However, we see some DraftKings opportunities on maybe both sides of this fight here this week. As you said, this is a third fight between these fighters, and we've seen the scores from the first two fights for both of these guys. The story of this fight is the volume that these guys put up. Both of these guys are fantastic volume strikers, and that means racking up some points on DraftKings. We don't really see either of these guys getting massive knockdowns or massive takedowns or ground control time in this fight. Just like those first two fights, this one is gonna be close to a boxing match, right? With the best goddamn boxer in the UFC, baby. That said, how are we seeing this fight play out? Well, because of that high volume from both sides, regardless of the winner or loser of this fight, they're gonna have a pretty low or a pretty high floor in terms of their score. Regardless of which of these guys wins this fight, the loser will put up a pretty decent score, which means that both these guys we think are options in cash lineups, especially Volk up there at $9,000. He doesn't necessarily have the highest ceiling because, again, we don't see him getting that big KO finish, though those big submissions, obviously, but he could put up a decent score here in a cash lineup. In the same way, Holloway on the other side at $7,200, we see him as an option in cash and GPP lineups. As you said, Gordo, maybe he was the rightful winner of one of those fights. And if that fight had gone the other way, he could have put up a score of 80 or 90 points, which is fantastic value for a fighter down there at $7,200. And even if he doesn't win this third fight, we expect him to put up similar amounts of volume as those first couple fights and still maybe put up 40 or 50 points like he did in the previous two in a loss, which means that he has a pretty high floor and a pretty high ceiling, which means he's an option in cash or GPP lineups. $7,200 we think is very good value on Holloway this week.
For sure. That is just a cash player's dream, right? A 5-round co-main event, minus 220 to go to the distance. Guys who put out insane volume. It's going to be a fun fight. Of course, the value is there. I mean, Holloway is going to get 10x's value in any physical win he's going to get at 7.2K going those 5 rounds. With that being said, Volkanovski's floor is super high because both these guys are super durable. Lots of value on either side. I would get one of these guys in your cash lineups either way. But of course, we're going to lean to the dog. I think it's absolutely criminal to have Max Holloway at 7.2K. For that reason, I'm loving him in both cash and GPP. But if you want to revolve around something that's more just GPP centered as a whole, I'm going to give you 2 fights to talk about GPP style. First First up, one of the most overlooked fights on the entire card and a super exciting bout between Jalen the Tarantula Turner and Brad Riddell. This fight's gonna be really, really fun. And I say GPP because I'm anticipating a finish in this one. I think the winner scores high either way. On one side, you have the favorite, Jalen Turner, a guy I'm really leaning towards this weekend. The anthropomorphic advantages are like none other. This guy is huge for this weight division. He's gonna have a 7-inch height advantage and 5.5-inch reach advantage. This guy is just an absolute beast for the weight division. With that being said, Jalen Turner also not only has the physical strength side of things, but this guy's got a 100% finish rate and he's been on an absolute tear recently. He's gonna have the ground advantage, the length, the power all over Brad Riddell, and I think that he has the opportunity to go out there and score 10 times his value, no problem, putting up at least 100 points in a win. With that being said, what Jalen Turner does lack is, let's say, defensive striking. And against Brad Riddell, that is extremely dangerous. Brad Riddell has great counter punches, great hooks in the pocket, and if Jalen Turner leaves himself open the same way he did against Vicente Luque, Brad Riddell has the power to put somebody down. So Jalen Turner has been finished before by a way that Brad Riddell could be able to capitalize. And I just think both winners are going to score very well. I see a finish happening in this fight one way or the other, either handing Jalen Turner his 4th finish loss or Riddell his 3rd finish loss. Riddell has been finished by both sub and knockout, and I think that path is definitely there for Jalen Turner. Super good opportunity this week to score high, but that's not the only fight I'm going to target. I'm also going to mention Andre Muniz versus Uriah Hall, and Andre Muniz may be one of my favorite GPP targets up top, 9.2K. He's an absolute submission machine. 3 armbar finishes in a row, all coming in the very, very first round, putting up almost 100 points in all of them. Guy's an absolute killer, facing guy Uriah Hall who has just no takedown defense whatsoever. And the reason I'm targeting this fight as a whole is because whereas Andre Muniz is a guy I'm going to be rostering like up to 75-80% of my lineups, his downfall is that cardio and that striking. I think that if it gets extended, Uriah Hall may be live, and at 7K, him getting a win whatsoever is going to score well. So whereas I do think the official prediction is going to be an Andre Muniz submission that very first round, adding to that streak, taking advantage of that really horrible takedown defense and ground game of Uriah Hall, we can't overlook the upside of the win condition of Uriah Hall on this side, and for that reason, targeting both sides. But we're going to pass it over to a more one-sided affair here. We're going to talk about the main event, Israel Adesanya, Jared Cannonier. Israel Adesanya being the most expensive fighter on the slate. Do we think that's warranted this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there are some fights here where we see some good value on the dogs, that Holloway fight, that Hall fight, but this fight here is a pretty clear one-sided affair. I mean, Cannonier, he has a lot of skills. He's a good UFC fighter, but he's fought at 265. He's a big guy who relies on that power and strength to win in a lot of his fights. And against a guy like Adesanya, that's just not going to work. He doesn't have those upsides that Vettori or a Whitaker has against Adesanya in that grappling ability or the technical striking. He just doesn't have those things to the same level, and we don't really see his ability to get this win here against Izzy. Izzy is a fantastic technical striker and kickboxer, and his ability to pick people apart is almost unparalleled in the UFC. And against a guy like Cannonier, this is just a great matchup for him. We see him landing a lot of shots here, especially with Cannonier's lack of head movement. Might not be too hard to land a lot of strikes to the head and to the body and to the legs, and we could definitely even see this finishing with an Izzy finish here. So we definitely see big upside from Izzy and a very high floor against a guy like Cannonier.
For sure. I think you covered it all very, very well there. Let's move on to a GPP style kind of thing right here. And we got to talk about Dricus Du Plessis if we're talking about GPP. GPP is this guy's middle name. This guy has an 100% finish rate, has never been to the scorecards, and he's sitting at a price tag of 8K. Let me tell you why it's 8K. He's facing Brad Tavares. I don't want to call him a gatekeeper, but he's kind of acting like gatekeeper of the division. He's got very good skills, but he's kind of what separates the upper echelon of the division. Brad Tavares, in my opinion, no disrespect to him, will not be a UFC champion. However, he's got a lot of talent to beat the lower level guys in the division, and for that reason, I think this is a true test for Dricus Du Plessis. He hasn't really been dragged into those deep waters. Brad Tavares, great takedown defense. He's shown that in his last couple fights, and it might be tested again here, but where I think Dricus Du Plessis has the advantage is that power. Brad Tavares has been knocked out a few times before, and that win condition for Du Plessis scores very well. Du Plessis' win condition, like I just mentioned, is that knockout and that finishability. Great opportunities on the ground, but I think that it's going to be up to him to get that knockout on the feet. The guy holds a lot of power. You can tell it by that 100% finish rate. I think he finds a chin of Brad Tavares and scores very well in the process. Du Plessis averages 109 fan points in the first place. The guy's an absolute machine with his finish rate. I think goes out there, does very well. Huge GPP upside for us. Amidst the two title fights, there's one cotton candy haired mofo out there. Sean O'Malley is fighting this weekend.
Yes, he is.
Does he survive the leg kicks? Yes or no?
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to that. We'll get to that shortly. But yes, Sean O'Malley is fighting again. Sean O'Malley is a very, very good striker. And with a 7-inch reach advantage like he has this week, that means he's going to be able to pick apart a guy like Pedro Munoz. Now, the one scary part about a $9,300 price tag for a guy like Sean O'Malley this week is that Munoz is fantastic at attacking people's legs. And if we've seen Sean O'Malley falter at all, it has been with his legs. His legs are notably small and notably damageable when people attack them. So we really like Sean O'Malley this week. $9,300, we think we could put up a fantastic score. He has the ability to land an enormous amount of strikes, which could put up a huge score here, which means we do think he has a high ceiling. However, if you're scared about those legs, maybe he's not the guy to take up there at $9,300. There are other guys at the top of the price range with similar upsides who maybe don't have that fatal flaw that O'Malley might have in this matchup against Munoz. So we like O'Malley, but hesitantly. There is some upside on Munoz, but we definitely lean far towards the O'Malley side in this fight.
It could very easily be just another striking affair, like an absolute clinic like you put on Moutinho, especially with the possibility of knocking down Pedro Munoz for the first time. I mean, he has been not wobbled, but I mean, he's there for the hitting, and if anyone's going to put you down, it's going to be Sean O'Malley. The Sugar Show has insane striking abilities. I think he puts on a clinic this weekend. That being said, so many red flags. Sean O'Malley, he's got toothpicks for legs, right? So it's definitely going to be a fun fight. Give me the cotton candy hair. Give me that all day. Let's go over the remaining fights I haven't touched. First of all, I'm not going to touch Barber versus I. No, thank you. That is my fade for the week. Ian Gary, a guy who has not really lived up to people's expectations, but I do think has the opportunity to put out another slow striking affair. Gabe Green is very, very durable and is going to test the volume and pressure of Ian Gary, but I think that Ian Gary is a step ahead in the striking. Both these guys have defensive liabilities, but the prediction is going to be a decision for Ian Gary, and that does not score very well for me on DraftKings. I do see the upside as Green on an underdog, though, if you are looking for some extra GPP plays this weekend. Miller Cerrone, I hope this fight happens. Cerrone's been canceled 3 times in the past month. It's going to be a battle of the old men. The winner of this fight has the most wins in UFC history. Miller has actually won fights recently, so maybe that tells you something. I just think it's going to be another one of those fights where it's either going to be Jim Miller in the first round or Cerrone later on if he still has what it takes. Cerrone's been out there making movies, so we don't actually know what's going on in his head right now, but give me Miller in a fight that has some decent upside, but at 8.7K, I'm playing it with a little bit of caution because it's not like he's some super durable guy at his age either. Speaking of old men, Lawler versus Barberena, fading Lawler completely. Give me Barberena. He's going a bit overlooked this week, and I do definitely think he has that durability, and it's not like Lawler's going to spam takedowns like Jason Witt did. I think Barberena's going to push forward. Lawler just lost a striking affair to Nick Diaz until he didn't. I think that Barberena definitely has the ability to put up good striking numbers and probably even finish in this spot here. Maybe that's a hot take. I do think he's a very, very live dog. Jessica Rose Clark's will be winning the fight until she gets armbarred, so live underdog for Stoliarenko. But the last fight I want to talk about is that Pereira versus Strickland, kind of the people's main event. So many hot takes either side. I definitely think the guy with the most DraftKings upside is Strickland because he's going to put on those wrestling shoes if he wants a good chance of winning that, and that will score a lot better than Pereira sticking from the outside. I'm going to lean the dog in Strickland. 7.9K I think is the way to go, but we all know that Pereira can put anybody's lights out with any single punch in the world. So give me the dog here, but with a lot of caution. Definitely another fight I want to target though. But that wraps up the entire UFC 276 slate. You guys can tell what fights we're targeting because we talked for some for 5 minutes, we talked for some for 10 seconds. It is an absolutely stellar card, so I'm super happy to have Kiro join me once again. What is your fight of the night and what are you looking forward to most this weekend?
Oh, I mean, it's hard to say that Volkanovski Holloway 3 is not the fight that we're looking forward to the most, but there's some other good ones in there. I mean, anytime you get to watch Adesanya is a big time too, but maybe that Sean O'Malley Munoz fight, that one could be an exciting one. The Sugar Show puts on a show every time, and we expect nothing less this week.
Give me Riddell versus Turner as my low-key fight of the night. Both these guys go to war every time. I'm absolutely loving that. But that's gonna do it for us here on the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. If you want to know more about our content, first of all, check us out on Twitter at GamblesGordo, at Plays Fades. As always, I will have my full card breakdown out live stream sometimes around Friday night, as well as my as usual prop drop, which I did Tuesday with the DFS Whisperer, and as I do every single week, the current MMA best bets video and the Pub Sport Radio DraftKings breakdown. Kiro, you missed me. I'm doing a lot of work now. That's 5 videos a week.
Oh, yeah.
I'm absolutely grinding. So make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like down below because we are putting in that work. That's going to do it for us here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and let's make some money, guys.
Ding.